Guys, can you hear me? Is it clear? Okay, much better. Okay. So I'll repeat whatever I said basically. So we were basically, we started with seeing the scope that, what we have written on the website, is it correct or not? That can you reach to 50 lakhs package, or if 50 lakh packages jobs are there in the market or not? So here is, I have searched on naukri.com a simple keyword called CCIE, and then we see that there are a huge number of jobs in that bracket of money. I'm not even talking about below 15 lakhs or below 20 lakhs, because that's an enormous number of jobs, right? I'm only talking about 25 to 50 lakh rupees bracket and more. And we are just searching one platform. We have not gone to two or three platforms at this time. We have not gone to LinkedIn, which is the high level hiring happens on the LinkedIn itself. Okay. So that clarifies one thing, that what is the scope in this particular industry. Then I am trying to compare it to the other options. A lot of you who are good in programming, they have a lot of good options. You can become a back-end developer, you can become a front-end developer, you can become, if you are interested in programming, data science and other programs, which are offering great scope at this time. But then there is a competition, because every MBA guy wants to get into data science and all those things. Also, what has happened recently is last 2 years, some chat messages are coming. Okay. So what has happened recently last 2 years is, because the lockdown was there, and in India, what happens is, there is only one place where you can take the exam, which is Bangalore, right? In Cisco campus. And last 2 years, the labs are closed here. Almost 2 years, the labs are closed. So there is a shortage, massive shortage of CCI engineers in the country. Okay, massive shortage, you can call it. And that's the reason the companies are ready to offer. It's a competitive environment today, that the companies which were never offering more than 25 lakh rupees are ready to offer 50 lakh rupees. Okay, and there are challenges. Let me give you one perspective here, how bad is the situation and how good it is for the student community, right? Bad for the companies, good for the student community, because it's the first time students are getting their dues, is the kind of salary being paid. They are actually going to, it's a hail time for the students. So as you can see here, those who missed out, I'm just going to put the keyword here again for you, so that you guys don't miss it here. I'll just put the keyword CCI, and we will basically look at how many jobs are there, and then we will also go to 10 to 15 lakh rupees. There are 731 jobs, and then you have 25 to 50 lakh rupees, we have 103 jobs, and most of it are in the Bangalore. 42 jobs are in the Bangalore in that category right now. And it is one job, it's one platform for hiring. I've not gone to the bigger one, which is LinkedIn. Correct. So it is not impossible to touch 50 lakh rupees with the CCI program. And if you are basically going to UAE, which is, 3.5 hour journey from here, the packages are even more. So there is a huge opportunity into it. Again, now, networking has a lot of domain. If you're CCI in collaboration, CCI in security, CCI in routing and switching, which is now CCI enterprise infrastructure, CCI in data center, these are different domains that you have depending on your interest, and depending on kind of funds that you have, because data center is always expensive, right? Security is a little more expensive than the enterprise, so it totally depends on what is the budget that you have. You can opt for the program, but generally people start with these two tracks, CCI enterprise or CCI security. These are for the initial starting of the career. Then people do multiple CCIs, and the scope of earning keeps on increasing. So you can see very clearly here that that is the number of jobs which are available, 25 to 50 lakhs. So we are not bluffing that that is the kind of scope we have. Now coming back to the cloud, what I have seen is the cloud has become the new Linux. Okay, and what is happening with that is that although there are a huge number of jobs, but eventually what will happen is the tools, or especially no code tools, are going to take over the whole industry. Like today, if you look at it, you want to, build React apps, or, any kind of mobile app and anything else. You don't need coding right now, right? You can basically go to no code tools and you can practice. Let me give you an example of the tool that I use for backend. Okay, so let's say I'm using this tool for backend, and you see that I do not require any kind of programming knowledge to build an enterprise level software or Swiggy or anything else, because it's all available in a very easy format. They have hosted themselves on the Google Cloud. So they are taking care of my backend. I am only responsible for playing with the whatever database I have. I have SQL or MongoDB or, anything else basically in that sense. So this is what is the future of cloud. The cloud is going to be ultimately taken over by easy tools, which has happened to Linux also, which has happened to Windows also. So that is where the cloud is. So initially it may look good, but networking, what happens is that networking is the core of it. The more cloud applications are built, the more network is required, the basic infrastructure is required. Also, with the kind of environment happening in the world today, not every company, not all the financial institutions, especially the banks and the share markets and everything else, they will never move to cloud completely, because cloud is inherently not secure. You are a tenant in somebody else's territory, right? And when you are a tenant, you are not as confident about your security as compared to what you have. So that's the reason there are certain guidelines also by various standards, that the amount of data you can hold in your country, or the what you cannot put in the cloud, etc. And that's the reason Cisco is still a huge company, right? It's a $40 billion company, which is equivalent to 3 lakh crores sales a year, right? Imagine that in new sales is happening worth 3 lakh crores. How big is the opportunity, right? When a new sale happens for 3 lakh crores, not 30,000 crore, not 3,000 crore, right? We are talking about 40 billion company. So when $40 billion worth of equipment is being sold, of course, there will be 100,000 or 400,000 people will be required. 4 lakh, 5 lakh engineers will be required every single year. And these are high-end enterprises who are buying this equipment, the big telcos, they are moving from 3G to 4G to 5G, and the technology will keep on rolling up, right? It will be after 5G, there will be a 6G, and after that, there will be something else. So, the scope is basically increasing in a very different perspective. Now, let's go back to another thing is that what kind of engineers are required in the market. So I'll just give you one perspective. It is 100 millisecond ms Amazon. This is an example that I generally give to everybody to basically tell what is the value of a network engineer or a good network engineer. So Amazon found that every 100 million of latency costs them 1% in sales. It's not about a second, it's about 100 milliseconds. What does that mean? That means a latency of 100 millisecond could be 4 million in revenues per millisecond. So 100 millisecond is going to be 400 millisecond or 400 millions. In 100 millisecond, how much money are you losing? They are using 400 million. So 3,000 crore. Imagine, what they will not do to hire engineers who can build amazingly fast networks. And fast networks are not about devices. There are a lot of redundant configuration. A lot of people do wrong configuration. A lot of people don't know, they don't do optimization of the configuration, and they, add up a lot of, nonsense into the configuration, etc., which cause latency. So this is a perfect example, as you can see that 3,000 crore rupees lost in 100 millisecond. Imagine in 1 second how much will they lose? $4 billion, 30,000 crore rupees. A 30,000 crore rupees lost for this delay of a second, 1 second, right? Just 1 second. So imagine what we are actually talking here. Tomorrow, the internet is going to be the backbone of the world. Internet is going to be for everything. Today you have all the apps and you can order foods, and there are a lot of stuff you can't do over internet today, but over a period of time it will be all internet. And the requirement for great network engineers will be always there. In fact, it will increase more, right? So that is the kind of scope that we are talking about. You see, that's the reason Naukri.com, I showed you the jobs that the companies are ready to pay 25 to 50 lakh rupees to network engineers. And not only 10 years, or basically there are 3 years or 4 years or 5 years kind of jobs are also there for architects. And if you go to, like, generally Cisco.com and all these companies do not put their jobs here. So Cisco and all the big MNC companies, they have different hiring mechanism, etc., and they pay double of the market value of the other companies that will offer. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to discuss, and now I'm open to any kind of doubt or question that you guys have. Let me unmute you. Okay, guys, I'm open to questions now. Anybody has a question or a doubt?
Sir, how about network automation?
Network automation is part of network, right? So it's basically what happens is, let's say, CCI Enterprise or CCNP, we have added Python and Ansible for you guys, right? Why do we have added that? Because it is part of the CCNP syllabus. So Cisco has embedded that from CCNP onwards, CCNA Introduction of Automation, CCNP onwards. They want you to actually do a little bit of Python on network engineers, and Ansible and some more tools overview basically, and do a little configuration on that side. And CCI, it is huge. Okay, so it is basically part of networking, but it is not networking. Remember that you can automate your task that you want to implement, let's say some configuration into it, but the core function of networking is the devices. If you do not understand spanning tree, you cannot build a script to automate spanning tree. If you do not understand BGP, you cannot create a script to automate something in the BGP, like putting a configuration yourself, etc. So networking is the core. Network automation is an add-on feature to it, which is making the life easy for network engineers by removing the repetitive task that they generally do. Like SDS, Cisco SD-WAN solution, Cisco SD access solution. They are basically automation platforms if you look at it. You create a device profile once and you implement it again and again. So it's a great tool actually. So automation is very much part of the philosophy, and Cisco has basically adopted it much faster than anybody else, and it's going really well for them. You look at the SD-WAN and SD access sale; they are actually the leaders in that segment.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Sir, what about cybersecurity? Because I enrolled for cybersecurity.
See, cybersecurity is a long-term goal, and as I said again, cybersecurity students should have a very good flavor for programming. If somebody doesn't have programming skills, he should not get into cybersecurity, because in cybersecurity you have to create very complex programming scripts. At the end of the day, you have to understand. Let's say you get into the vulnerability team. In that case, you need to understand the coding really well. If you are basically finding a bug in the JavaScript, or you are finding a bug in HTML, or you are finding a bug into API or backend something, in that case you need to have a solid understanding of programming language. You can only find a fault in something which you understand, right? So cyber security, most of the jobs are to find vulnerabilities into the production code. That's where the money is, right? So CH is basically just an introduction to that, and the high end thing happens on the programming languages basically. So if you do not have programming flavor, you should not be into cyber security. Okay, guys. Anybody else?
So there is a question in chat box.
Okay. Okay, what about those who are in the early stage of networking? So basically what happens is that it doesn't matter you are in early stage, in few months you will be at medium stage, and in few more months you will be at advanced stage of networking. It totally depends on how, you know, what is that you want to do. Do you want to do CCNA and want to be at the start of the networking? Do you want to do CCNP and get to the middle level, or you want to actually reach to the top of the thing? It is like, doing a 10th class or a 12th class or a bachelor's or a master degree. Why do you do that generally, right? Because you want to have an advanced skill into something. So that is how it is, right? Why do people after doing BTech from India, these IITians go to do masters in US, right? Because they want to now learn the advancements of the thing. So that's the reason they are ready to spend 1 crore rupees even after passing IITs, right? 50% of the students still leave to US for doing masters program and other programs. The reason for that is they want to get to the top of the things. So, I see a lot of people who think with CCNA they are going to be the great engineers. It doesn't cover, it's a very basic level certification. It doesn't cover advanced technologies. If you learn OSPF in CCNA, you will not understand anything about OSPF at all, because OSPF is all about the advanced features which are covered in the CCNP kind of thing. And CCI is making it enterprise complex enterprise scenarios. I will not say complex, I will say advanced, right? So then you will know more possibilities of something. Hope I've answered that right. So guys, anybody else has a question? See, the problem with the community today is that people spend 16 years in college, and they come to a training institute and they want a great job in 1 month of CCNA training. They want to spend 1 month the time on the course, and they want to have a job based on that particular course and not based on the 16 years of their schooling or the college that they have spent on, right? That's where the problem is. And they do not want to do advanced, they do not want to do full thing. They just want to do some sample level course, I will call it, the basic kind of course. So that's where the problem comes. Okay guys, anybody else? Don't shy, you can ask me anything.
Hello, sir. Shayan this side. Sir, for CCI lab exams, we have to give CCNP exams too, or CCI written is
CCNP one
sufficient?
exam is required, NCORE is required these days. They have removed the written exam from CCI lab, which saves you a lot of money, right? You save 23,000 rupees now, because before that you had to basically, people were doing CCNP, they were doing CCI written also. Now written is removed, just one exam of CCNP core, NCORE is required and nothing else. That's all. That's a base requirement. You cannot book a lab exam without having your NCORE for CCI Enterprise or SCORE for security, CCI security. See, it basically, this program opens high level opportunities for you. If somebody want to stay at 3, 5, 6 lakh, 10 lakh rupees package, he's absolutely fine with CCNA, CCNP growing at slow pace in his career. But somebody is looking for an advancement into his career, reaching to 30, 40, 50 lakh rupees in next 6, 7 years. He has to basically go through the advancement of the program itself. There is no way somebody is going to get 50 lakh job with the CCNA program by taking 1 month training somewhere. If the success is so easy, half of the world will do some 1 month program and they will be able to become successful. And I'm showing you here, right? You see that on the Naukri.com clearly that this is the kind of number of jobs which are available. And Naukri.com is not very well known for high-end job kind of thing, searching. Generally these are now available, all the high-end jobs are basically there on the LinkedIn. Okay, guys, what else? So, the thing is, when we put a ad like this, right? Generally, what happens is people think it's basically some kind of marketing gimmick, some kind of, they don't actually are aware of the scope. I generally give them people a scenario that, let's say you are sitting in HSR layout in Networker's home, and if you go from here to airport, right, from your place to airport, Bangalore airport, what is the amount of cars you are going to see? What is the amount of buildings you are going to see? And what is the amount of people you are going to see on the airport? Now, sitting at home, we generally believe that it's nothing. But when you go to the road, you realize it. There are thousands of buildings or lakhs of buildings and crores of cars, and you will be stuck in traffic jam for hours. Right? So only when we actually get into something we find out the truth. Sitting at home and making opinions and building ideas will not give a full idea about the scope of it. So scope is immense. That is what I wanted to tell you guys, that there is an immense scope. There is a massive opportunity. 2 years CCIs are not produced. The demand for CCIs are very high. Why? Now also I want to give you why there is a demand for CCI engineers. Okay. These are the people who are known as a PhD level of networks. And network engineering is not taught in colleges as it is. There are no real routers, no real switches, no firewalls, intrusion prevention system. Your colleges are basically focusing on some obsolete technologies which happened long back, etc., etc., right? You know the truth. So who will produce these network engineers? Who will produce these data center engineer? Who will build data center? Who will build cloud? Who will build the networking component, right? Who will do virtualization of VMware, ESXi, and other Velo Cloud and everything else? So the private institutions and are doing this job, plus Cisco kind of company which are ruling the networking world, which is ruling. I will not say networking world. I will say internet world, because at the bottom layer, if you look at it, the internet is built by 2 or 3 companies, right? Major market share belongs to Cisco, then it's Juniper, then somebody else, small players, etc. But major chunk is all Fortune 500 companies which have offices in 100 countries and 200 countries. They actually rely on Cisco and not on the cheap vendors. Let's say if you're running something like YouTube, right? A multi-billion-dollar profit. Would you hire an ordinary person, or would you ask Cisco, if I'm buying Cisco devices for 4 Tbps kind of one per port back plane, will I hire a CCNA, CCNP level guy, or will I hire a CCI guy to run my show where in 1 millisecond I can lose $100 million revenue? Of course, I will hire a high-level expertise. And how does that high-level expertise come? Is it taught in IITs? No. Is it taught in some government colleges? No. Networking programs are exclusively, because it's by Cisco equipment, right? It's basically taught by the Cisco institution, and Cisco CCI labs is what prepares you for those complexities and enterprise scale scenarios, etc. So it's an opportunity also, that it is not something like the JavaScript which is taught in every college. In your college nearby, you can see 2,000 rupees teaching Java, 2,000 rupees teaching HTML, right? And what is the output they will bring? So that is not the case, in fact. And here there are 2 or 3 CCI institutions in the country at this time who are reliable, correct? In that also, let's say we are the oldest one in the market, and even if I combine them all together, we cannot produce 200 CCIs a year, because there are not many people who want to actually spend that kind of amount. It is almost 1.5 lakh rupees, 8 hours exam, right? And that's a lot of money for middle class. So what we generally prefer to our student is that you do the course from us without passing any certification. You get into a job which we are providing, 200 plus company tie-up we have, and then you get into those companies, and then those companies like Cisco, if you get into Cisco, even on third party payrolls, I think they are providing you 3 CCI lab attempts free. They are also refunding you for written exams and everything else. And that's how we want students who have a lack of funds of, etc., to actually get into great companies where you are being paid by the companies to give your CCI lab exam. In Middle East is a common trend that all the companies will basically sponsor you, but here also in big companies like Cisco, they do have a provision. And that is the first approach we have been using for last 3-4 years. We want students to, but the thing is, if once you go to the jobs, people don't feel they get a good salary, 8-10 lakh rupees, 12 lakh rupees, and they lose the target. They don't want to think about 50 and 60, 1 crore rupees kind of packages, and they don't think it's true. If I don't bring this PPT here and the Naukri.com openly live in front of you, you probably will not feel that it is true, right? So, this was the purpose of the whole program, to make you aware. Any other question, guys, before we leave? Anything related to Networkers Home, anything related to the trainers? You have great trainers. There's Sharad, Bharat, right? Very friendly trainer, excellent technology, young kids, very friendly, right? So we are trying our best to give you the best resources. Guys, any other question, or we say goodbye? So hope everybody is clear, because no questions are coming. Nobody is typing in the chat window. Nobody is asking questions. So let's close this session now. And I hope to see you guys in the classes someday. And if you have any questions, send an email to vikas@networkershome.com, right? vikas@networkershome.com. And I'm going to put this recording on the YouTube so that those who have missed out the first portion, they should be able to see it there. All right, guys, take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.